Hello and welcome to a scene for Salem by Night. Today, well, actually last week, quite a while ago, Alice found a bunny on her doorstep, a stuffed toy bunny, as opposed to the live hair that she found not that long before that. And the stuffed bunny made its way up to her room with her other stuffed animals. And most every night before she went to sleep, all the animals have ended up on the floor, and then they all end up back on the bed for the day. But tonight, Alice was feeling more than a little bit tired, and one of the animals did not quite make it to the floor, having fallen between the pillows, and that is why the dream which was woven into the bunny has begun to make itself known.
All right, fair enough. You find yourself in many of the normal night fantastic phantoms that you normally wrestle with, whether or not it is some memory of the day, whether or not it is some duty or errand that you're meant to do tomorrow. You go ahead and wrestle with these few ideas until you go ahead and just simply drift away further and further, deeper, deeper into your own psychosis, deeper, deeper into your own dream. With every single breath, with every single exhale, you go ahead and find yourself deeper and deeper still. This very, very restful sleep. Some would say a well deserved little sleep. A little rest, a little break from thinking and worrying and being anxious about anything, to a place where small delights can go ahead and tickle your fancy. As you go ahead and you find yourself, your dreaming self, in a field. You look to the left and you look to the right, and you see stems and you see flowers, red flowers, pretty much everywhere. You look up to the sky, and it is quite a temperate day. You look up to the sky and you can think to yourself, well, maybe it'll start raining in a few days or a few hours, not really sure. But for now, it is serene. For now, it's cool. The wind is blowing. You feel the wind go ahead and pass your face, brushes up your hair a little bit. Go ahead and take your hand and strain those few strains of hairs away from your face, and you sit up again in these fields of flowers. It is dewy. It is slightly damp. The humidity here is increased quite a lot. You can smell all around you those wonderful, wonderful fresh smells. But more ahead of you, you can see a structure. What looks to actually just be a barn. A barn with one of its gates and its doors wide, wide open, the other one shut quite tightly. And that's where you find yourself.
Alice will take time to enjoy the breeze for a little bit and will wander vaguely in the direction of the barn, running her fingers over the flowers with a bit of a bend to do so. And
They're very, very soft. The petals go ahead and give just a little bit. And it's very, very cool and soft to the touch.
so she makes her way over towards the barn because it seems to be the main landmark around here.
Yes, indeed, it's the main landmark here. You go ahead and approach the barn. You go ahead and leave the field of flowers and red roses. You go ahead and briefly cross a path, a gravel road that stretches from east to west. And you go ahead and hop a fence, actually. Closer and closer to the barn, it goes ahead and takes you. When when you start approaching the barn, you see it from, well, lots of feet away. You can see something hanging just off the rafters in this barn. And the closer and closer you come, you notice that towards the back of it, there's a huge pile in basil. Huge pile of just plant matter. As you go ahead and get closer, it doesn't smell as awfully sweet or as awfully wonderful as the roses. No, it has a slightly more bitter taste in the back of your throat.
She'll be curious and take a bit of a closer look at the plant pile because she knows quite a lot about plants.
You can certainly look. And as you look, you recognize this as tobacco plant, actually.
She'll wrinkle her nose slightly, but yeah.
You can see above you much of the tobacco plant as well, just sort of drying out right now.
She'll look around the barn a bit more because tobacco is not one of her favorite plants. It has its uses, but it's generally overused and not particularly positive to the health ways. So it's not one of her favorite plants. But she'll look around the barn some more, see if there's anything other than tobacco in here.
No, it seems you've gone ahead and stumbled on a tobacco tobacco farm. Yes, tobacco is not the most wonderful for the body. It is it's a profit crop. But you know this. You've accepted it. You don't like it. You never use it, but you understand its significance in the greater economy. Blah. It's all bland and dry to you. But as you go ahead and wander on this this small shed, if that, you come across a window that opens up into a little bit of a vista. And on that vista, you see that path, that gravel path again. And next to that gravel path, you definitely see a sign. The sign goes ahead and reads Daryl's Farm. And just below it, Salem city limits 30 miles.
Well, it certainly seems interesting that it's indicating a place. Whether the place is real or not is something that she'll have to find out at some point. But it definitely indicates somewhere.
It is definitely up to Alice what she does with that information. Where does she go next?
She's going to wander along the path.
You exit the barn, the tobacco barn.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead and start walking the path. You know, the path is like, it's fairly wide. It looks like it would fit one big automobile, one truck, but not much more than that. The gravel is going to go ahead and crunch under your feet. That is a question. What is Dream Alice currently wearing for footwear?
Dream Alice is currently wearing kind of ballet flats, but if it starts to be too harsh under her feet, then she will end up wearing hiking shoes.
Hiking shoes is probably the better bet for this gravel road.
Yep.
Okay.
Wasn't much of an issue in the on the grass because the grass is soft.
Mm-hmm. eventually you go ahead and you come to a curve. You come to a turn in this gravel path. The barn behind you is going to go ahead and disappear behind that path, behind that curve, I should go ahead and say. And as you do so, you hear the sound of a creek, of a brook, actually, and your eye goes ahead and catches it before you can actually register what it really is. You turn your head towards this bubbling brook, and you see fur. You see the hindquarters of what you know to be a rabbit as it disappears into the underbrush.
She's going to walk over towards the underbrush. She's not running around or shouting. She's just kind of walking in the vague direction with a mild curiosity. And it being a dream, she's fairly sure that either the rabbit will reappear or something will happen over there. It's a dream. Stuff happens.
Stuff definitely happens. You start to walk in that direction off the beaten path, the gravel path, I should say, and you come to a slope. It's a very, very steep slope, something that you can navigate, but only with your entire attention. And if you go ahead and descend it, you'll be met with a very curious sight. You will see that rabbit sharing the same fur that you saw so briefly, but apparently it's got a roll of paper in front of it, and it seems to have collected some of those tobacco plants to itself. It's currently rolling himself a cigarette, lighting it, and smoking.
You know, those are not particularly good for you.
The rabbit goes ahead and turns his head, simply says, "Why don't you come here and tell me that face to face?"
She wanders over, and as she does so, she kind of shrinks down to rabbit height and looks him in the face and says, "They're not particularly good for you."
I enjoy them. I like them.
She shrugs.
No, you don't understand. The dream rabbit goes ahead and tilts his head. It's all of the additives that most of the major cigarettes companies go ahead and add to it. The nicotine, the artificial flavorings, tobacco. It's not that wonderful of a plant. It's very, very calming. But it's all the additives that kill you.
Oh, yes. They're definitely a lot worse than it would be by itself. That doesn't mean it's good for you. But then neither is cake. She shrugs.
There you go. Do you make your own cake?
I made some carrot cake earlier this week.
Were you able to go ahead and measure it and give it all the proper ingredients in the proper ratios that you desired?
She nods.
Then I do much the same with my cigarette here.
At least it is not a hookah. They tend to smell quite badly.
Hookahs only smell badly if you don't clean it out.
The caterpillars always smells quite badly. But I'm not entirely sure what goes into it, and I don't think it's normal plants.
The dream rabbit goes ahead and gives you a shrug, as if it goes ahead and doesn't quite, as if it understands but is not responding.
Yep, that's fair enough.
Imagine it like this. Imagine you're in a conversation with somebody and it just goes ahead and gives you a non-committal shrug or a I understand or a that's very, very interesting. It's a social beat, but it doesn't really convey any information and it's very, very much non-committal. As if no information is being conveyed, but is urging you to go ahead and talk on.
So do you always get your tobacco from the farm?
Good question. Gazette turns around. The Daryl farm, it's good. From what I have seen, it has a fairly good price attached to it. I've always been able just to walk up and grab what I need and pay the farmer what it needed.
Well, it's good that you pay the farmer. You wouldn't want him chasing you like he chases Peter Rabbit.
A shrug. Again. That same very, very much non-committal social gesture.
She's more aware of herself and her dreams than she used to be, but she is still in a dream. So things that make sense to her, she just kind of goes with them. You know, the connections that you get in your head, but you know that the other people wouldn't understand?
Mm-hmm.
In a dream, you assume that everyone will understand them because it's all in your head.
You know what? You should come here one of these days and find me when I've got a few of these. We can make it a picnic. How about that?
A cigarette picnic?
No, cigarettes are for me. I'd bring sandwiches.
That definitely sounds like a better plan.
There you go. A picnic with sandwiches, a bit of wine, whatever
But
you
can
would go
you
ahead and
make
prefer.
sandwiches with no thumbs?
You're just asking me how I would eat sandwiches with no thumbs, and you didn't
Don't
go
make
ahead and
sandwiches.
question how I would. You don't question how I'd make cigarettes without any thumbs? Wow.
Well, I can see you making cigarettes with no thumbs. You just roll them against the ground with your paws.
Is that how I did that? Can I also not make sandwiches simply by taking my mouth and laying down the bread, the meat, and the cheese?
I suppose so. But either you'd have to cut the bread or get it out of the plastic wrapper. And they always have really annoying twiddly bits on the end of the plastic wrapper.
Oh, believe me, these teeth can go ahead and take care of plastic wrappers very easily.
Fair enough. She just kind of shrugs.
So I'm guessing you do not want a roll, do you?
No. No, I don't think so.
And why is that?
Because I'm not sure what color the smoke would come out.
Again, that social beat there.
Yeah.
Whether it is a shrug, whether it is just, oh, that's interesting, you see that same social beat there.
Yeah.
You're perceptive enough to notice when somebody's giving a rote response to something.
Should I bring carrot cake?
Bring whatever you would like to bring. I plan to bring sandwiches and some wine. Plus some chips, actually.
Well, that sounds good.
Excellent. We can go ahead and get ourselves better acquainted.
And maybe I can help you roll those where it's not against the ground because I have thumbs.
Goes ahead and looks at you. Oh, by the time you go ahead and meet me again, I will have thumbs. And that's the moment when the bird goes ahead and calls out. Whether it's a crow, whether it's a raven, it's really, really loud, really, really freaking distracting. And the rabbit's just gonna go ahead and pop, jump off its stump, land the stream, the creek, and just sort of swim its way off.
And Alice is going to pick up the leftover roll of paper, because if he's diving into the water with the cigarettes, it probably doesn't go well. So presumably he has left the cigarettes just there. She's just going to pick them all up and put them on the stump and put a nearby conveniently hollow log over the top so that the rabbit can find them when he comes back.
Oh, that's delightfully forward thinking of you.
It makes sense in her head, and that's where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I assume that the dream will end roughly there?
The dream goes ahead and continues on. As you look around, you start to notice more and more details that you did not see beforehand. You can see how part of this bank is a little bit sandy, and yet it's sandy on the far side of this little creek, but it's very, very dewy and very, very soft on this side of the creek. And again, you can continue on and look and see more and more of these details the more and more you go ahead and look on. It's fascinating, really. The more you explore, the more there is to find.
Then she's going to go for an explore and just kind of wander around all over the place, exploring all sorts of stuff, because she can.
This will probably go on for quite a while in dream time, actually. In real time, the night will go ahead and start to pass. And by the time you go ahead and open your eyes again, you're fairly certain you know every single nook and cranny of that brook, if it's a real brook.
It may or may not be a real brook, but the farm is significantly more likely to be real. So she will go about her day as usual for the most part of the day. And then around evening time, but before it quite gets dark, she's going to head out towards the farm, having looked it up on Google Maps.
Fairly easy to do so. What vehicle are you taking?
She will be taking a bicycle.
Ooh. Excellent.
Because whilst she probably can drive, there's not really many places she needs to drive to, so. So yeah, she will take a bicycle with a basket with some Tupperware and cake and some apple juice. I'll head out.
Describe how you go on for a little bit of a hot second while I look something up. No, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Describe what she's thinking, what she's feeling.
Well, she's not sure if the dream is likely to mean anything or not. It's very hard to tell, because there wasn't one of the blue bottles, so it's probably not prophetic. But the place was a real place, so it could have something to do with the bunny that showed up in her dreams. She's not sure if it's a good idea going out to meet him or not, but there's only one way to find out. And at least he didn't seem to be hostile. So So she will make her way out there, and you know, if worst comes to worst, she'll leave.
Fair enough. You go ahead and find yourself traveling a little bit of ways. Oh, and unfortunately, this is the best approximation I have from the overlay. Excuse the. Actually, no, fuck it, we'll include it. As you drive up, you see the signpost, Daryl's Farm. You see the farm right there. You see the gravel path that you're currently on as it continues further and further on past this little curve. Do you go ahead and follow it, or you stop, or what do you do?
Well, if she finds the curve, she's going to wander off the path down to the riverbank to see if it's there.
All right. About what time again did you decide to take this adventure?
It's probably late afternoonish.
Okay, late afternoon. That's fine. That's cool. That's great.
Because she has her shop to worry about as well. Actually, no, she might have. Yeah, she might have asked person that she knows that covers for her sometimes who's not been given a name, but yeah, she'll have asked them to have filled in for the afternoon and head out around 2-3ish by the time she gets there.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. You go ahead and take your bike. You go ahead and ride a little bit longer. The dust and the gravel goes ahead and kicks up behind you as the bicycle tires travel on through. Makes a wonderful sound behind you as the rocks and gravel go ahead and land behind you. Eventually, you go ahead and find yourself again at that very, very steep embankment. And from your position, you know this place. You know this place quite well, actually. You know that this is a steep embankment, but it goes ahead and there's apparently a bit of a stone step a few feet away from you that you can just go ahead and trot your way down. And you know for a fact that there is a circle of stumps just further on towards the end of it, as if somebody went ahead and made pains to keep these stumps where they were. And where there are no stumps, there are definitely logs that go ahead and lay across. You get a sense of very, very extreme deja vu because you've never been here before, but you know this place like the back of your hand.
Because she explored it yesterday. Well, this morning in her dream.
Yes.
Which sounds weirder than it seems. So she'll make her way down the steps carefully. And carrying the food and drink that she brought with her.
After a little bit, hear that creak again, much, much stronger now. And you see before you that clearing, and there's a man sitting on that stump, currently with a rolled cigarette, some would call it a blunt, within his hand, who's smoking quite happily to himself. You can see that behind him there is a bit of a package, a bit of a pouch, and besides that, there's several layers of just simple paper.
So she'll give him a wave and gesture to the Tupperware and say, "I bet you can guess what I brought."
Looks over, goes ahead and narrows his eyes. Ma'am, I have no idea what you have brought. The only thing I know, he says, as he grabs what seems to be a basket behind him, is what I brought.
So you don't remember telling me about the sandwiches? And the conversation about thumbs?
Goes ahead and blinks to you. Cracks a bit of a smile, a bit of a grin. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. I thought I'd be waiting here pretty much forever. No, I don't remember. But whatever you brought sounds delicious.
She'll hold out the Tupperware, which does in fact have carrot cake in it
Nice.
because she made some more
Nice.
carrot cake. The last batch got eaten.
This man, Jacques, will go ahead and gesture to the ground and take a blanket from the basket and lay it down. And he'll start getting out some different fixins. Well, it seems like not only sandwiches were bought, but also potato salad. Very, very good potato salad. Some biscuits as well. You can see wine is there, as long as with some water if you don't feel like drinking that hard.
She brought apple juice with her.
Mmm.
Carrot cake and apple juice. That's what she brought.
Sandwiches there are tuna salad and ham, turkey as well, cheese of every single variety.
Yep, she'll settle on the blanket and take some of the sandwiches happily. So, if we didn't have the conversation about thumbs and rolling cigarettes, then how did you know I'd be here?
You got the dream. You had a dream, right?
Yes.
Well, I was just hoping that you would have the dream and come up with the idea to come here yourself.
Well, you told me there'd be a picnic. She shrugs.
You had a dream about somebody telling you that there would be a picnic, and I am here with a picnic. Do you think there's a correlation there, or a cause and effect?
Well, yes, because aren't you the rabbit that showed up in my dream before?
That's a good guess. And actually, you're right. I'll give you that one for free.
So you were the rabbit that showed up in my dream before, but you weren't the rabbit that showed up in my dream last night?
I have many rabbits. Many, many people that go ahead and do favors for me.
But he said that the next time I saw him here at the picnic, he would have thumbs.
Did he now? Well, he's just a lying bastard, isn't he?
She's just going to look down at his hands pointedly, like, there are thumbs there.
He's currently eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
Goes ahead and looks at you and simply say, so, you had a dream, but did you go ahead and receive my present to you?
The rabbit.
Stuffed one, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, there you go. That's who you were talking to. You were talking to that stuffed rabbit.
Okay, that's a little creepy.
What? Don't little girls go ahead and talk to their stuffed animals all the time?
Yes, but they usually don't talk back if they live in your room.
Never been a little girl, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I mean it's cool and all, but I think somebody is going to be facing the wall when I get dressed in the morning.
Oh, don't make him face the wall. Why would you do that? That seems awfully mean.
She's going to give him a raised eyebrow.
Stupid grin on his face. That doesn't seem to go away anytime soon.
I don't know about you, but it's one thing having stuffed animals in your room when you're naked. It's another thing them actually watching you.
They've only got glass eyes, dear Alice.
Yeah, but most of them
Kids,
can't show up in your dreams either.
they can't see a lot from where they are. They can only tell you what they've already seen.
Again with the raised eyebrow.
Think about that like this. You've had imaginary friends before, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did your imaginary friends ever think about, the fact that you were ever naked before?
No.
Well, there you go. Your imaginary friends don't even think about it or consider it. It's not a part of their perceptions. Same thing with a rabbit. Rabbit doesn't care whether or not you're naked or not. It's only been imbued with its experiences, which happen to be this brook.
Hmm.
Now, if you want to go ahead and be paranoid and put my fluffy little friend next to a wall like it's been a bad bunny, well, that's on you.
Hmm. She
At
looks
this point in
thoughtful.
time, the man before you is going to go ahead and take the opportunity to grab a slice of this fantastic carrot cake and start eating it with a plastic fork and knife.
It's got walnuts and cinnamon and ginger and is a very lovely spiced carrot cake.
Absolutely delightful.
Not going to win any awards anytime soon, but there's lots of flavour to it.
He'll comment as appropriate, saying, "It's really good. I'm glad you brought this."
Well, I made a batch last week, but strangely enough, the person I was expecting to show up never quite did. But then you must have been getting tobacco. He shrugs.
Well, if you didn't send me a message to be at a certain place at a certain time, well, I guess I must have missed it.
No, I just thought you'd be likely to show up again.
You made cake, thinking I'd come back to your shop.
Well, you did sit outside the shop for quite a long time before I gave you a cup of tea. I figured the next time, tea and cake. She shrugs.
He goes ahead and scrunches his face as if, it kind of makes sense, as if, yeah, that does make sense. He's looking up to this guy with his,
If you didn't show up, more cake for me. She shrugs.
yeah, I could definitely see that. How are you enjoying the sandwiches?
They're good.
The sandwiches are as such tuna salad sandwich, which is fantastic and awesome, and it has the right amount of mayonnaise, the right amount of tuna, the right amount of dill relish. It's fantastic. It's awesome. The ham and turkey sandwiches, much to be desired, especially the turkey, which seems to be awfully dry.
She likes the cheese sandwiches. Tasty cheese. Nom, 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 nom.
Goes ahead and shakes his head as you see you go ahead and devour the cheese sandwich. You know, I make an awfully good grilled cheese sandwich. I learned it from my aunt, actually.
Cheese usually does taste better when it's gooey.
And it's better when you go ahead and complement it with a bit of tomato, tomato sauce. There you go. Or tomato soup.
Oh, it's always better with the soup.
Absolutely.
You get the tomato soup and you dip the grilled cheese in the soup. Just awesome. You can do it with chicken soup as well, which is different.
You go ahead and see a grimace go across this man's face. Ugh. Chicken soup with grilled cheese sandwich? Nah, you're a crazy woman.
It's not as good on the cheese as the chicken soup is. As the tomato soup is, but it's good if you feel like you want something meaty, but you can't be bothered to make something specifically meaty, but you also want cheese.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Of course, it's better if you make it a ham and cheese grilled and dip it in the tomato soup. But if you don't have the ham around, then the chicken soup does the meatiness. She shrugs.
Shrug. I'll admit, this first time being, well, in the town proper, and the first time being in your shop, smelled really, really nice, although I have no idea what you actually go ahead and sell.
Herbs and spices, and poultices, and tinctures.
Mhm.
Basically, all the more potent plants that can help with a person's health and well-being.
You been doing that long?
I've been in Salem about a year now, and I've had my shop the whole time. Before that, I lived in a commune with my family.
Really? This is the first time I'm talking to a girl that came from an actual commune.
She'll shrug.
Usually, well, the last time I had a girl go ahead and tell me that she came from a commune, what she really meant was a really, really, really risque and free sorority. That was back when I went to college.
I didn't really get on very well with school. I like learning, but they had it almost seemed as though most of what the school was teaching you was to answer questions a certain way and to only speak when you're supposed to, and sort of generally sit down, shut up, don't really learn very much, but stay out of trouble.
Seems very, very logical.
I always learned more at home.
Why do you think so?
Well, you felt like you could enjoy it. And if you enjoy things, you tend to pay more attention to them and put more effort into them. And if the thing you're enjoying is learning, she shrugs.
Oh, I just remember when I was young and had all these crazy ideas in my head, things just seemed to be more magical. But it just came to a certain time where my folks were like, you need to get yourself a good education. And I was like, why? Why do I need to get a good education? Why are you just going to send me away to go ahead and learn to be a proper man? I can tell you that didn't last very, very long, like at all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to normal school when I was 12.
Grade school age.
She shrugs.
How did you handle the transition?
I adapted. Mostly I just thought about other things.
What did you think about? What did you dream about?
Well, I'd think about how the sheep at home were probably on their way out to the field, and how one of the chickens might be might be stopping up her egg production, and we need to see about either helping her to lay more or considering lunch options.
Very, very cutthroat attitude.
That's why you don't name food animals.
Okay. Did you ever have any pets, or was it all just strictly that, well, this is just what we got to do for dinner?
We had a dog.
Mm-hmm.
She was very lovely. Don't get me wrong. We took care of the animals, and we'd help them to go on as long as they could. And some of the chickens would only lay once a week. They were getting on quite a bit, but nature is nature. And she gestures to the sandwiches.
Mm.
Everything eats something else. And she'll hold up her cheese sandwich. Even with the cheese sandwiches, you're eating the milk, you're eating the bacteria, the bread comes from the wheat, and ever so many different things. But at the end of the day, life comes from death, and death comes from life. She'll shrug.
You don't think that's a very, very cutthroat philosophy to have?
No. It's just practical.
Okay. So if everything eats something else, and life can only come from death of something else, where do you fit in all that wonderful nonsense?
I help some things grow, and I eat some things, and at some point, hopefully quite a long time away, things will eat me.
And you accept that mortality.
She shrugs. Will not accepting it make it any less true?
I guess not. But does accepting that mortality make you less likely to run for your life when you get the chance?
Oh, hell no.
So if you got the chance and you know you can't win, you're willing to run.
Of course.
Just practical, right?
Yeah. Just because at some point you're going to die doesn't mean you have to let it happen. Bite, kick, scratch, run, whatever.
never beg, right?
I suppose maybe. She shrugs. Like she's never really considered that one. If it was likely to work. But I don't see many situations where it would help anything.
Goes ahead and nods his head and continues eating his sandwich.
If something or someone really wants to kill you, I doubt asking them nicely not to is going to make much of a difference.
Depends on the aggressor's entire motivation, I guess. If it's simply to destroy you, well, there's not much you can do. But if it's a toy with you, if it's to play with you, he says, munching on, you might have a few options.
But again, I'm not sure begging would help.
Perhaps the entire motivation of the aggressor is to watch you beg.
But then, if you give them what they want, what more do you have? She'll shrug. Again, I suppose it depends on the situation. If it seems likely to help.
If you can beg today to go ahead and guarantee it tomorrow, is that a victory?
Probably.
Goes ahead and shakes his head. I wouldn't consider it a victory. Anytime you're brought so low as to beg for your life, well, there's just some things you've gone ahead and done wrong. That's just my own viewpoint.
Again, it very much depends.
I consider it a point of failure to go ahead and get caught and have to beg for your life. That just goes ahead and tells me that I wasn't quick enough to run as fast as I could.
She'll shrug. There's a lot of possibilities in the world. As I said, I don't see many where I think I'd be likely to beg. There's really not many. But it's a possibility. And it's all very well saying that it might be a failure that you didn't run fast enough. But if you're in the situation because someone else couldn't run, it might be something that you consider worth it.
Well, now you're introducing third-party actors into the situation. And you know that they always complicate things.
Of course they do. But this is the whole point with absolutes. They don't take into account the variety of things that can come that you can come across in the world.
You notice that the man, before he goes ahead and lays down his sandwich and sort of leans in more over the blanket. Never deal with absolutes. Never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever deal with absolutes.
Absolutely no absolutes are worth paying attention to.
Absolutely. Life is just much more complicated than the kind of stuff we're talking about right now.
Of course it is. There is so much complexity in life.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a dandelion, you can see every tiny little petal spreading out from the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And you can follow the petals down into main part of the flower, and further down you can see the roots spreading out through the soil. And if you look even closer, the tendrils in the roots. And just from the tiniest part left in the ground, it can all grow back again.
It can grow back again. Maybe. I'm going to guess there's some point or another where it's just too separated and there's no energy left for it to go ahead and to regenerate itself. But a dandelion is very, very interesting. The way you go ahead and describe it, the way you gloss over like the flower part. Consider me ignorant. Tell me more about the flowering part.
Well, it's actually not just one flower.
Mm-hmm.
There's every single part of the flower is a separate individual flower that will turn into its own individual seed. And each petal is connected to its own stamen, but they work together so that they can flower as one. It's a composite flower head. And because of this, they can make a composite seed head. With each individual seed coming from each individual flower, spread in the wind.
So each stamen, go ahead.
It's interesting the way in which the plant is so very separated and yet whole.
So this is a flower that doesn't require any other flower to continue its line.
No. Admittedly, it's good when they can get pollinated by other flowers. And they certainly appreciate bees, but they are self-pollinating if they choose to be, that can be identical to the original plant. And even on the same, in the same composite seed with all the individual florets, they can have some of them pollinated by outside plants and some of them self-pollinated.
Which ones tend to be a lot stronger, the pollinated or the self-pollinated ones?
Well, they're equally strong individually, in that the genetics of the plants have clearly reached adulthood, and so they're perfectly capable of doing it again. But obviously, if all of them were to be done that way, they'd all be identical, and then they'd all be vulnerable to the same diseases and the same problems. They don't have to worry about genetic abnormalities building up for inbreeding. But that doesn't mean that it's good for all of the plants to be identical.
All right. So while this plant can go ahead and live its life all by itself and secure its own line by itself, sometimes it just takes a third party, an extra actor, to bring in the extra little spice to make sure that something different is grown.
Because otherwise, something that might affect one dandelion and would usually not affect another dandelion will affect both of them because they're both identical.
strength through variety.
It's part of the reason for sexual reproduction in the first place to have evolved. It takes astonishing amounts of energy from an evolutionary standpoint. Asexual reproduction is significantly more efficient when it comes to general production, but the robustness of the species depends on the variety within that species and the capability to adapt to new situations. She'll shrug.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you find yourself more willing to be stagnant but efficient? Or much more willing to be creative and find variety and thus bring a certain amount of life and light to the species? Considering that you yourself don't come from a very, very traditional background, I'm guessing the latter.
For the most part. But being entirely one or the other seems rather more of a traditional viewpoint.
Well, you can be logical. He goes ahead and gives a very, very posh response as if he's holding his Dixie cups in his hands. You can be rather posh. You can be rather logical. You can do everything by the book as it has been reproduced for you, asexually reproduced for you. I can tell you that many, many professors and deans have never had sex with a woman in their entire life.
I could definitely believe that.
Or you could go ahead and explore the world as it is and find your own truths, to go ahead and write in your own books and not accept the things that are written down at face value.
I like reading, but finding things out for yourself is certainly more gratifying.
You know the people that make the best books? The people who have read everything they could about a subject, but then afterwards went out and experienced it themselves, so that they can bring that old stamen with that new pollination of their own experiences.
Precisely. If you stick with one or the other, then you're limiting yourself.
Oh, and heaven forbid we ever limit ourselves.
She'll grin. There's plenty of people quite happy to do that for you.
Absolutely. It helps them and makes sense for them to go ahead and put you in a particular spot with a particular place and a particular label because it's easy for them. Why make things easier for them?
There are quite a lot of people who are far too eager to limit other people.
I can imagine. Makes it easier on them. I can understand that. But it seems as if you're expressing from experience.
Well, it's certainly something that's caused issues at school. Teachers wanting to limit you to their curriculum rather than to learning and to exploring the various different topics put before you. But yes, There have been more recent incidents.
If you would like to go ahead and enter the bitch session of this particular conversation, well, I've got my big glass of wine right here, and I'm more than willing to listen to your salt.
She's going to look thoughtful for a moment, like she's really not sure if she wants to talk about it with you or not. Let's face it, she doesn't really know you that well.
I believe today Alice has done many, many things that she would ought not to do, like following a dream.
She followed a dream to Salem. What's your point? What are your views on the kings and stuff?
Oh, the kings and such? At the moment, I have no viewpoints other than my own loyalties and my own allegiances, of which I have not met much in this town. In fact, I presume to be the only representative of my court in this town.
Have you met Joseph at all?
The man before you goes ahead and shakes his head.
Apparently he's from Boston.
Yeah, Boston's a great town. Never been there personally, but I've heard great things.
Don't think I plan on going there anytime soon.
Oh, and why is that?
You guys have like the 4 different courts, right?
There is a court system in place.
Well, one of the kings from Boston, this Joseph person, he decided that it was a good idea generally trying to bully me into seeing things his way.
I'm guessing that wasn't effective.
Well, was not effective in changing the way that I see things. Well, it definitely changed the way that I see things, but probably not the way he intended. In that now I think he's a complete asshole.
That's a rather harsh opinion to have with somebody. I hope he went ahead and earned that high distinction.
He came into my shop and basically cursed my magic so that it would make me freak out or something.
Oh, so you can no longer go ahead and sell anything or take care of any of the animals you usually do? Be a good husbander? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
To be honest, I'm fairly fine. I have been doing a lot of it for most of my life, so the magic doesn't really come into most of it. But it does mean that I can't work out how to use the magic in case I need it for other things.
My dear young man, woman, excuse me, my dear young woman. From what I have seen, you are quite talented. From what you have told me, you are quite talented. Your talents will go ahead and persist despite this curse, whatever has been laid for you.
It's pretty much my plan. So, yeah, he might have done some things that I personally consider highly suspect, but I guess life continues. It generally does.
You notice that the man before you is going to go ahead and put up a thumb, actually close his fist, keep the thumb out, and like a microphone goes ahead and says, life will find a way. And then the T-Rex will bite your face off.
Life happens everywhere it can.
Mhm.
Life happens everywhere it can't.
True, true. So whatever curse that has been laid upon you is the weakest curse I've ever heard.
It's getting in the way, but she shrugs. Makes it difficult to try and practice learning something that you don't have a lot of experience with if you keep freaking out every time you go near it. But
So you're telling me that you're afraid of the livestock. That seems awfully disconcerting.
no, not livestock. Just magic.
Hmm.
Magic is kind of a new part of my life anyway, so I can just carry on with the rest of my life.
Hmm. You notice he goes ahead and scrunches up his face as he goes ahead and looks at you. So you're not using the word magic as like a metaphor or anything or a symbol. You're talking about like magic, magic.
You gave me a bunny that showed up in my dreams, and then I came to a picnic.
And that seems absolutely normal according to my perspective.
She shrugs. Magic happens.
And right now you've been cursed not to share in that magic we all have.
Oh, the magic that we all have. That's just life. But no, the new stuff. Uh, you know how? Well, no, you'd left by that point. Basically, there's the energies of life, and there's the ability to kind of use your will to change things. Don't really know how to explain it properly.
Hmm. Perhaps I am not the person that you should go ahead and trying to explain these new magics with you. Maybe you should find somebody that's like better versed in magic.
Well, I would, except the few people that, well, the one person that I knew that turned out to know about magic basically took me to a meeting with a bunch of people to apparently do important stuff that I had nothing to do with and no reason to be there, and generally treated me like a puppy that needed to be put in the corner or something.
Hmm. He goes ahead and looks at you with a discerning eye. I don't think you look like a puppy.
If a person doesn't know about something, then they don't know about something. It doesn't mean that they are necessarily an idiot or a child. Just that particular subject hasn't made its way into their education so far. So either give them the information or expect them not to know it, but don't assume that they're an imbecile just because they don't.
No, you look like a cat. You can see he's like scratching his chin a little bit when he says, "Nah, maybe a cat." I'm sorry, you were talking about something utterly and completely important, and I just went ahead and side-tailed that particular conversation.
She shrugs. Why a cat?
Because you are curious, because you go ahead and carry yourself with a bit of dignity, because I'm not sure if you're going to skitter away from me or try to paw my face off.
She'll shrug.
I myself, you seem to be describing a situation I know absolutely nothing about. Um, I would not perhaps. I would. No, I'll just go ahead and claim ignorance and simply ask you: was the Boston King there? This Joseph?
That's where I met him.
Okay. Did you two not get along, or was it a very, very bad first impression?
I didn't think it went spectacularly, but I didn't think it went that badly either.
Not badly
At
enough
the
to go ahead and
time.
curse you.
No?
Hmm.
I
Interesting,
didn't
interesting.
bow and scrape like everybody else did, but I don't really consider. I mean, this is America. There's democracy. It's all very well people saying that they're kings of this and lords of that, but a person is a person.
So at that point in time, you did not throw yourself to the ground and beg for whatever dignity that you would be given.
Precisely. That is the majority of the reason that things seem to go badly, as far as I could tell.
Hmm.
This is the thing about respect. There's two very different ways that you can use it. You can use it to say that you respect someone as a human being that deserves a base level of respect, or you can say that it's like a respect for authority and more of a deference, really. And a lot of the time, people get upset that and are like, well, if you don't show me respect, I won't show you respect. When what they really mean is, if you don't show me deference, I won't show you respect as a human being. That's not really how it works.
Interesting, interesting. As far as my own people and my own card, I always go ahead and pay them their dues, but usually they just go ahead and let me do what I want to do.
Hey, if you guys have titles and ranks and whatever, that's entirely fine for, but it doesn't really include me.
No, no, I guess it really doesn't, and I guess it's not really fair to go ahead and subject you to all the prettiness that goes along with it. Tell me, where did you meet? What was the hall like? What was the decoration like?
Uh, it was at a cafe place.
See, that's exactly where they went wrong. A cafe, really? Shakes head.
He shrugs.
No, no. If I was presiding over this little gathering, if it was my court, we'd be out here. He goes ahead and stretches out here in the wilderness, probably trying to find someplace a little bit out of the way to where you could go ahead and travel to and not be seen. And we would probably not be too much up our own asses. We all remember the struggle. We all go ahead and strive as best as we can. We all try to maintain our collective safety. Being a lord, being a lady, being a king or queen doesn't really amount to much when you're just as stuck in the same situation as everybody else. When you're all running from the same horror.
I don't really know a great deal about, well, the horror that you're running from, apart from just the very basics that, people were kidnapped and then they came back. She shrugs.
He goes ahead and shrugs. The spring is coming, and with spring, summer, and the warm seasons after that. Why not go ahead and take a little break from running and enjoying the sunset, the sun for a little bit? I can appreciate that. One of the reasons I decided to have a fantastic picnic out here. Because winter is just leaving us, and while I do appreciate winter and all the niceties it gives me, at some point or another you gotta go ahead and loosen your collar up and just enjoy life in all its complexities, right?
She'll smile. It's always good to have the growing seasons. But at the same time, winter is there for a reason as well.
Winter is my friend. Winter is my boon companion. Winter is my mentor. I know Winter.
So I take it you're part of that court thing?
He goes ahead and nods his head.
Okay. Did you want some apple juice, by the way?
I love some apple juice, thank you. He'll go ahead and extend the Dixie cup.
She'll pour some apple juice in.
He'll go ahead and drink it quite greedily. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do.
It's cloudy apple juice, by the way, which I always think is so much nicer.
He'll definitely go ahead and appreciate that one. But after he goes ahead and has his fill, he'll notice that several of the sandwiches have already gone ahead and been consumed, and much of the carrot cake, at least half the carrot cake, has been consumed as well by himself personally. It's been a lovely late brunch, Ellis.
It's always nice to get out into the fresh air.
If you're up for it, maybe we should do this again, but next time, not in the open. Maybe someplace a little bit more closed in. How about that?
Well, as long as you're not going to start randomly having ghosts show up and stuff, you're quite welcome to drop by the shop.
Oh, you telling me there are ghosts at your shop? Well, ghosts are scary. I'm not sure about this anymore. You're haunted, lady.
I don't think there are any anymore.
But yeah, sometime, pick you up, go someplace nice. How would you feel about that?
Well, it's nice talking to you. and you haven't tried randomly attacking me, so sure.
Fair enough. At that point, Jacques is going to go ahead and start to collect all the food material that has not been completely and utterly devoured by his own fervent interest in devouring things.
Nom, 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 nom.
Nom 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 nom. You'll notice he nom nom noms a few things before he puts it back in the bag, so he doesn't have to carry any more stuff. But yeah, he'll go ahead and take all the picnic stuff, pack it away. So what is Alice doing?
Alice is just going to relax in the sunshine for a little bit longer.
She is certainly welcome to. Jack will go ahead and get into her vision a little bit. Look down and say, "It was a pleasure having lunch with you, Alice. I hope to do it again sometime."
It was nice having lunch with you as well.
And with that, he'll go ahead and leave. And if you stay there for an extended period of time, you'll probably hear the engine of a pickup truck start kicking up and driving away.
Yeah, she's going to stay there for a good 10-15 minutes afterwards, just enjoying the sunshine. And then she will go and make her own way home. And with that, and all the nom 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 nom, the scene will end.